today's purport. Our beloved Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, warns us to be very careful not to offend Brahmins and Vaishnavas. It is said in this regard that the dust on the feet of a devotee is very powerful. It has the power to liberate us from all suffering, to open the doors to the spiritual world. When we serve the dust of the feet of a devotee, Krishna personally is so pleased that from within and without, he gives us all facilities for spiritual advancement. It is said in Bhagavatam that Krishna took the form of a little baby, Gopal. He was floating in the ocean on top of a leaf of a banyan tree. And in that form he was sucking on his toe. Why? Because his devotees, they endure great sacrifices. Sometimes they're willing to be persecuted, tortured, and killed. They're willing to give up those things that are so dear to everyone within the material creation. Even what the demigods are longing for and fighting for, devotees give it up. Why? Just to taste a speck of dust from the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna wanted to see what that dust tasted like. As a baby, babies naturally suck their toes. At least that's what I have been told. To see what is the nectar that the devotees are so anxious for. But one who conquers the Lord heart in this way, the dust of their lotus feet is even more sacred to the Lord than the dust of his own lotus feet. Because a devotee has given his life or her life to Krishna, Krishna gives his life to them. As it was spoken yesterday by Madhava Maharaj, taking the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnav is not just the physical, mechanical act of touching their feet. It is the consciousness and the spirit of the willingness to humble ourselves, submit ourselves, and serve that person. The dust is at the lowest part of that person's body. Our consciousness is feeling ourselves beneath them. It's actually the humblest position. Taking the dust of the lotus feet of a devotee means to take the humblest position of being a very insignificant menial servant of that person and the Lord in a very favorable, unenvious way. And one who approaches a devotee like that Krishna promises that he will deliver that person. He will take it upon himself. But if one offends a devotee, a sincere, dedicated devotee, as we read here, even if that devotee doesn't take offense, Krishna takes offense. He will not tolerate it. Krishna was so angry at Durvasa Muni for his offense, even though Ambarish Maharaj was praying for Durvasa Muni's welfare, Vishnu had his chakra chasing to destroy him. Neither Brahma or Shiva or Indra or all Durvasa Muni's 8 perfected mystic cities could protect him from the reaction of offending a devotee. Vishnu himself said, I cannot protect you. Krishna is the supreme shelter of all living beings. If Krishna can't protect us, then what hope do we have? Krishna is told, I have no power to protect you, because I am so angry that you offended my devotee. Only if that devotee forgives you do I have the power to protect you. That is the degree that Krishna is bound by the love of his devotee. These words are spoken by Maharaj Rahugana. We will continue where we left off yesterday, before we were blessed by His Holiness Jai Patak Maharaj. We left off where Bharat Maharaj, after leaving a most beautiful, chaste, faithful, devoted queen, obedient, educated, absolutely well-behaved children, the most magnificent palace and wealth in the entire earth, finest foods, best clothing. He left it all. He wasn't even very old by standards of that age. And went to the forest, where he did his sadhana so well. He was preparing all his life by performing his sadhana. And this was the culmination, where there was nothing else for him to do. But then he was distracted by this little helpless deer. He became so much overwhelmed with affection for this deer. Literally, day and night. He could think of nothing else. He was bound. And in doing so, all of his devotion to Krishna was forgotten. He had no proper association. He was alone. And somehow or other he gave up his spiritual practices, his sadhana. Therefore he fell deeply into illusion. And in that state, he was dying. The end of his life was near. And the little deer was sitting next to him as he was dying. The deer was terribly aggrieved. Bharat was her shelter. her guardian, very life and soul, everything. Shukadev Goswami says that that deer was sitting beside him just like his own loving son, lamenting, seeing her father about to die. And when Bharat saw the deer in so much anxiety, with such tears in her eyes, with such love and attachment for him, more than ever, his heart was just filled with affection for that deer and worries for what will happen to the deer when I leave. And in that state of mind, he died. Krishna tells us in Gita, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram. According to our consciousness at the time of death, we get another body. Because he was engrossed with affection for a deer, Bharat Maharaj, like everyone else in this world, died. He lost his body, and he lost his relationship with the deer. At death, you lose everything material. And due to his previous karmas and the inclinations that were in his heart, and due to his neglect of his spiritual practice, those inclinations became prominent. And he took birth as a deer in a nearby jungle. Srila Prabhupada asks a very, very relevant question in this regard. How is it possible? Krishna promises us in Bhagavad Gita, Neha bikramana sosti pratyavayo nividyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor of devotional service, there is no loss. Any action in Krishna consciousness is eternal. And even the smallest act in bhakti can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. And what is the most dangerous type of fear? To lose the opportunity of this human form of life and to be cast down again into the lower species where there is no chance of cultivating our devotional service. Bharat was brought up by Rishabdev, an avatar. He was a great devotee from birth. Of all the sons of Rishabdev, he had 100 sons. He chose Bharat to be the king of the world, knowing him to be so qualified. And how he ruled the citizens, perfectly according to the principles of Dharma and Bhakti. And how he exemplary left everything behind, everything of this world that is impossible for people to give up. He left it with not a second thought. And he was absorbed in hearing the glories of the Lord, in chanting the holy names of the Lord, in worshiping the deity of the Lord, in remembering the Lord, in praying to the Lord. 24 hours a day practically, he was immersed in that way. Why? Why did he have to take the birth of a lower animal? Because of one deliberate mistake. It is explained that it was Krishna's arrangement. Because he was so dear to Krishna, and he had endeavored so seriously in his Krishna consciousness. Krishna wanted to help him. Even if we're very, very advanced devotees, we still have free will. At any state, we could decide to make another priority over Krishna. And Maya's right there to give every opportunity. She will provide every type of temptation and all justifications. In one sense, Bharat Maharaj was trapped. It's not that he was just sitting on the bank of the river and someone said, "Would you rather be attached to Krishna or a deer? What is your choice?" He would have definitely said, "Krishna, he is my dear, dearmost." But no, all of a sudden, it was just the most unexpected moment. He's doing his bhajan, and this tiger roars. It's very, very traumatic experience. This lion roars. If you were sitting all alone and just nearby you heard the roar of a lion, that would be very, very shaking. And then he sees this poor little mother deer die on the other bank. And then there's this little, sweet, helpless deer just squirming in the water, about to drown. And he reached down to save it. And then realized, I've already saved it, but if I don't take care of her, she's going to die. 100% death if I don't take care of her. He was trapped. Maya's so clever. And when you associate, you become very much affected by what and who you associate with. But because he was dear to Krishna, because he performed so much bhakti, Krishna personally cast him in a deer's body just to increase his determination to perfect his life without any impediment. And Krishna blessed him, so in that little baby deer body, he could remember everything about his past life. Not an ordinary deer. And as soon as he was born, even in human life, most babies are they don't know what's going on. Yes, they just look around and cry. They don't know who they're with or who they are or what they're doing or where they are. It takes some time. But this little deer, as soon as he came out of the womb, he just understood, what have I done? I gave up everything of this world for Krishna, and when I was this far from the perfection of life, of going back to Godhead, I got trapped by attachment to a deer. I wasted so much of my time. He repented. He begged forgiveness from Krishna, that he rejected the Lord of his heart for a material thing. He wasted so much of his time at the very end of his life. That little deer immediately left his mother and went back to the Pulaha ashram on the bank of the Gandaki River, where he left off before. And there he was seeking out to be in the association of saintly people who were hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And 24 hours a day, he was fixed in just remembering Krishna. He wouldn't even eat the nice things that deers like. he would just eat dry leaves, which is tapasya for a deer. Practically gave up eating and sleeping. This baby deer just meditated on Krishna day and night, more intensely than he had ever done before, because he was trying to make up for his offense, the offense of neglect. In this way, he was just waiting to die. And when he died in that holy place, he took his next birth as the son of a Brahmin in the line of Angira Muni. This Brahmin had a very pure heart. As his father, he was a learned scholar in the Vedas. He had very, very deep devotion. Very kind, charitable, compassionate. This Brahmin had 2 wives. From his elder wife, he had 9 sons. And from his younger wife, he had twins, a daughter and Bharat Maharaj, who was now known as Jad Bharat. Now, from his birth, the father was trying to raise little Jad Bharat to be first-class Brahmin, cross over the ocean of birth and death. But Jad Bharat was fully conscious of his mistakes as the king, fully conscious of a whole lifetime as a deer, and he understood Maya is very strong. And he did not want to play with the fire of Maya, which comes through association with people and things. Srila Prabhupada, he would say, the problem with you, boys and girls, meaning all of us, is you do not have sufficient fear of Maya. Maya is very powerful. To play with Maya is playing with fire. He didn't want to play those games. He did not want to take any chance. He knew that as soon as people start honoring you and respecting you and liking you, if it's the wrong people, you get trapped. You start to become attached to that association. He did not want to associate with anyone but devotees. But his family, with the exception of his father, were karmakandis. They were Brahmins who were very much pursuing material enjoyment through their Brahminical activities. So to not take any chances, he pretended to be blind, deaf, dumb, and completely dull, like we saw in that beautiful performance last night. And the family didn't know what to do with this little Jad Bharat. As he grew up, he wasn't getting better, he was getting worse. His father loved him dearly. His father was so deeply attached to him. In every possible way, he tried to train him. He wanted his children to get married. But he came to the conclusion, there is no woman that's going to marry this boy. So I better teach him to be a brahmachari. It's humbling for all of you brahmacharis. He tried to teach him basic standards of cleanliness. Examples are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. The cleanliness. When you go to evacuate, That means to respond to the calls of nature. You do your duty, and then you wash your hands very carefully. His father said, no, my son, not like that. First do this. First go like that, and then go like this. And he would just be looking into outer space and shake his head like, he wouldn't say anything. Like, yes. Then father would say, now do it. And he would evacuate. No, he would wash his hands and he would evacuate. Everything like this. He tried to teach him scripture. He would just look, not say a word. His father tried to teach him the Gayatri mantra. 4 months he tried to teach his son this one line of the Gayatri mantra. After 4 months, finally the father gave up. I can't teach him. He still hasn't learned. Whatever he was taught, he would expertly do it just the opposite. And people thought he was a madman, a fool, somebody his brain was handicapped from birth. But the amazing thing is he was acting. He was a completely self-realized soul. He was perceiving Krishna, the Paramatma, within his heart. He was seeing the Paramatma in every living being's heart. He was completely detached from anything material and was a compassionate being who was absolutely non-envious friend of all living beings. He was Narottam. He was a first-class human being with all knowledge of all scripture inherently manifesting within him. But he knew, even at that advanced platform, he could fall down if he gets trapped by wrong association, and he did not want to take any chances. So he pretended to be so stupid. And except for his father, who with a pained heart loved him so dearly, tried in every possible way to help his son, everyone else ridiculed him, pushed him around, and treated him harshly, cruelly. But he was happy. He was happy to be treated cruelly. He was happy to be blasphemed and criticized and tortured. He didn't mind because he was Atmarama. He was self-satisfied, thinking of Krishna. Pratishta is a very, very great impediment. Wealth, the opposite sex, and prestige. Kanaka, Kamini, Pratishta. These 3 are great pitfalls for one on the spiritual path. He was behaving in such a way that nobody would give him anything. Nobody would ever marry him. And everybody just ridiculed him. Very safe position. Anyways, the father tried to do everything. Father was very attached to his family, his home, his children. So much attached that, like everyone else, he forgot that death would come. But death did not forget him, nor will it forget anyone else. He died. And Jad Bharat's wife, she was in such trauma that she entrusted Jad Bharat to her elder co-wife, and she went and ended her life with her husband's. This elder wife, his stepmother, was not at all kind to him. And his stepbrothers hated him. They thought he was just an embarrassment to the family, and he was just a useless fool. They would ridicule him. They would torture him. They would give him to eat rotten grains that'd been eaten by worms, moldy, horrible. And he would just take it in a very gracious way and eat it. He was happy. And they wouldn't give him food unless he worked. They would put him out into the fields to do work. And where he was supposed to make the higher part of the land even with the lower part of the land, he would dig from the lower part and make the higher part higher. And they would beat him. They'd give him some rotten grains or some spoiled food, and he would just eat it. He was completely indifferent. He didn't care. He was self-realized. And finally, they just thought him so useless as a job so that they could give him some rotten grains. He had to sit on a high platform in an agricultural field all night long, and he was supposed to scare the deer and the wild pigs away when they came to eat the crops. So he was just sitting there, totally fixed in Krishna consciousness. But anyone who looked at him, he just looked like a madman. It was at that time that the leader of a band of dacoits wanted to have a son. So he felt that in order to get the favor of the goddess Kali, we will perform a human sacrifice. And the type of sacrifice required a man animal. That means a man who is crazy like an animal. And they had one. But just before the puja, that man animal escaped. So the dacoit was really, he's a violent man, really violent. He ordered his gang members, find me that man animal. So they were searching all day, all night. They couldn't find him anywhere. But in the middle of the night, they came to this agricultural field and they saw Jad Bharat just sitting there, completely dull. So they grabbed him, they carried him away, and they brought him to their leader. And he examined his body. He was very strong. Somehow or other, Jad Bharat had a really strong body. So they thought, what a magnificent offering to the goddess. They bathed him. Then they dressed him in fine clothes, anointed him with scented oils, put ornaments and garlands on him. In front of the deity of Kali Mata. And the leader of the dacoits had one of his dacoits take the role of the priest. They offered incense to Goddess Kali. They offered flowers. They began to recite various mantras. And at the culmination of this puja, they had a large, sharp sword that was meant to sever the head of Jad Bharat. The objective is after they sever the head, they would offer all of his blood to the goddess Kali. And she would drink that blood as if it were intoxicating liquor. And she would be so satisfied by that offering of blood that she would give the leader of the dacoits a son. Hare Krishna. So they lifted that shining, sharpened sword high in the air, and with the chanting of mantras and the beating of drums and the blowing of horns and bugles, with all of his force, he dashed his arm down to cut off the head of the Lord's devotee. But at that moment, the goddess Kali was so angry that they were about to kill Krishna's devotee. The deity of Bhadrakali burst open, just into pieces. And out from the center of that deity came Goddess Kali herself. She stood on the altar. Her eyes were red as hot coals. She opened her lips and showed her curved, sharp teeth. Her red tongue hung below. She screamed in anger, grabbed the sword from the dacoit and cut off his head. Then she went to every one of the dacoits. She cut off their heads. And then she went to the leader of the dacoits and screamed a shrilling, chilling sound and cut off his head. And then appearing from Goddess Kali were a whole band of witches and she-demons who were her associates. And they all started screaming and celebrating the death of these demons who tried to harm Krishna's devotee. They were dancing and singing and screaming. Then they took the blood of all those demons and drank it like liquor. And they all became intoxicated drinking the blood of the dacoits. And then they really had a festival. They were dancing, they were singing, they were just for entertainment. They were picking up the heads of the whole bands and like balls, they were tossing them to one another while they were screaming in ecstasy. And after the whole show ended, the goddess Kali approached Jad Bharat and offered her respectful obeisances and blessings. She could not tolerate an offense to a Vaishnav. Yesterday, His Holiness Jad Bharat Maharaj told that story about that Brahmin. He said his name was Shivananda, and his sons were Sri Krishna and Hari Rama. They were going to do, for Durga Puja, they were bringing those buffaloes and goats to their father to sacrifice all of them to Durga Devi. But by the association of Ramchandra Kaviraj and Narottam Das Thakur, they became peaceful Vaishnavas, Paraduka Dukhi, who were so kind and compassionate to all living beings. They let all the goats and buffaloes, they let them go. And when they came home, ultimately the father was outraged. Where are the buffaloes and goats I paid for? He says, we let them go. We are Vaishnavas. Now we are chanting Hare Krishna. He was so angry. He hated Vaishnavas. He hated Vaishnavas. It was the worst possible thing. So we heard about how his two sons defeated all the pundits of the village, and then somebody that they preached to in the village defeated the Digvijay Pandit. The father was absolutely devastated. He was doing all pujas and pujas and pujas to Kali and Durga to save his sons. He came to the point where he was in so much anguish, he was on the verge of death. And then in a dream, the goddess Durga Devi, Chandi, appeared to him. And she was mad. Why are you offending your sons? They are Vaishnavas. Don't you know I am a devotee of Vishnu? Don't you know that I worship and honor Narottam Das Thakur and Ramachandra Kaviraj? You should follow your sons. And then she lifted her chopper and said, or else I will be back. So he became a devotee, something like that, on the verge of death. Who is Durga? Brahma Samhita explains, she is an expansion of the pleasure potency of Krishna. In Simantadweep, when goddess Parvati, she saw Lord Shiva chanting the holy names of Gauranga in ecstasy. She asked, who is this Gauranga you're speaking about? And Lord Shiva explained how he comes in the age of Kali to do what no other avatar does, gives prema bhakti to everyone through Nam Kirtan. So she went to this place under a banyan tree and she meditated and performed tapasya to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he appeared to her. And she's Parvati. She said, I am so unfortunate. All your devotees want to be with you and want to bring everyone else to you. But my service is to keep everyone away from you, to keep everyone bound by this material existence. And Lord Chaitanya told her that actually you are Srimati Radharani. Radharani, my pleasure potency, she manifests in your form to oversee the entire material existence. Lakshmi, Sita, Radha are the potency of the whole spiritual world. And Durga, Chandi, Kali are the different manifestations of Parvati within this material creation. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave her a place as Prodamaya, where she would be protecting the holy dham of Sri Navadvip. When you water the root of the tree, you automatically satisfy every part of the tree. Srimad Bhagavatam tells, when you satisfy Krishna, then all the demigods, all the expansions, all the avatars, they are all fully satisfied. Because Krishna is the root. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. The cause of all causes, the source of everything. So if you want to satisfy Ganapati, Kali, Durga, Skanda, Surya, Suni, Sunny, Shani. I'm sorry, please. If you want to satisfy all of these different personalities, Hanuman, What is the best way to take shelter of the holy names of Sri Krishna? Importantly, to examine Jad Bharat's characteristics. He didn't care. He didn't care that his head was going to be cut off. He didn't try to escape. He didn't lodge any arguments. He was completely satisfied. Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur prays, Maro birako bijo ichatoha nityada saprati tua adhikar. My Lord, if you want, you can protect me. If you want, you can kill me. It doesn't matter. I'm your servant. You can do anything you like with me. Srila Prabhupada quotes the great verse of Lord Brahma. Tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipagam.